directors are Sri N. Prabhakaran, Chairman, Sri P.M. Vasu, Secretary, Srimati Sailaja Venu, Vice Chairperson, Srimati Vijina Premnath, Joint Secretary, Sri P.A. Rajkumar, Treasurer.
Dr. M. Ilangovan, the Principal, Sri Narayana Guru College, Coimbatore. He is the guiding star for us. He was the former HOD of the Department of Biochemistry. He encourages, supports, and guides us on all our endeavors.
And PhD Biochemistry. Along with that, the department takes value-added courses, that is VAC, like nanobiotechnology, food and nutrition, clinical lab technology, computer-aided drug design, and mushroom cultivation. The highlights of the department are well-equipped laboratories, ideal research environment, remarkable placements, industrial and educational visits regularly. It takes gold medal and university ranks and 100% results.
The faculties of the department are Dr. K. Narayanaswamy, Associate Professor and Head. He has got 22 years of teaching experience. He is guiding a PhD scholar. His area of specialization, cancer biology and medicinal plants. Dr. N. Nirmala Devi, Associate Professor. She is having 15 years of teaching experience. She is guiding a PhD scholar. Her area of specialization, plant biochemistry. Dr. Radhi M.A., Assistant Professor, having 9 years of teaching experience. She is guiding a PhD scholar. Her area of specialization, cancer biology and medicinal plants. Dr. N. Sudarmani Gayatri, Assistant Professor, having 4 years of teaching experience and the area of specialization, clinical toxicology and plant therapeutics. Mr. S. Vinu Chakravarti, Assistant Professor of Chemistry. He is having 10 years of teaching experience and his area of specialization, organic chemistry. Miss Ashley George, Assistant Professor. She is having 2 years of experience. Her area of specialization, cancer biology.
7 days alumni webinar series organized by the Department of Biochemistry, Sri Narayana Guru College, Coimbatore. Day 4, 19th June 2020. A lecture on technologies that rule biosciences. Are you prepared? The resource person of the day, Mr. V. Vineet, co-founder and head, Business Development Company, C6 Labs Private Limited, Bangalore. Happy welcome to Mr. Vineet V. Vineet, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Then I would like to welcome all the participants who are waiting for this alumni webinar. So I welcome each and everyone who have joined here today for the day 4 session. Welcome you all. Now the session is going to start. Vineet, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I thank the Department of Biochemistry and of course Narayanaswamy sir for providing me this opportunity to interact with the students of Narayana Guru College as a part of the alumni meeting. It's always a pleasure and exciting to be associated with college because a lot of positive memories associated from 2001 to 2004, where I did my biochemistry, and I completed my MSc also in the same college. So I thank thank you for the opportunity given, and I thank all the attendees for taking the time to attend this meeting. So I can right away start off with the presentation. Is my slide visible to all?
Yes, Vineet, it is visible.
Okay, great. So I would love this meeting to be a one-on-one meeting right in the department, in the college premises, but right now it's not possible. So let's do it this way. Now we are doing it through technology, and technology is enabling us to virtually meet and talk. Right. So my talk is going to be about technologies that rule bioscience, and are you prepared, or how can you prepare as a student? How can you prepare yourself to better understand the technologies that rule bioscience, how to master those technologies, thereby giving an edge in your career, whatever be your career. You can be, you can plan for an MPhil and a PhD as a research scholar. You can take an industrial route. You can join a pharma company. You can join a biochemistry clinical lab. You can become a cytogenetic analyst. Whatever the path you choose, how can you have the differentiating factor in you? So my talk is a bit of mix of technical stuff and some career-oriented points, right? Now imagine the scenario. Narayana Guru College itself, UG will be around 20 to 30 people the final year. The PG itself is another around 20 people. And imagine these many people passing out and seeking jobs or research positions. And then as many colleges are there in Coimbatore, as many colleges in Tamil Nadu, as many colleges in other states of India. So when you enter the scenario for a job market or a research position, you're competing with all of these people. So what is that you can do now, that is during your college scenario, college life, to give yourself the little bit of edge? So that's what I'm going to talk about. And we all know that biosciences, be it biotechnology, be it biochemistry, be it microbiology, is intensive, is dependent heavily on instruments. We depend on instruments to analyze, bring some data, understand the data. So the instruments are a key aspect of our biological sciences nowadays. And day by day, the instrumentation is getting more sophisticated, and the sensitivity and specificity are increasing, right? So it's only very important that we, as a biologist or biochemist or microbiologist or biotechnologist, we understand the instruments in depth. Okay. And now, when you are studying in a college scenario, so the college has a framework which is given by the university. The faculties in the college and the professors in the university, they create a syllabus, right? So in spite of instruments being so important, right? I remember during my UG, instrumentation was just one paper. Okay. So I feel, though that is what you can learn in a book, instrument is something you should learn across your all semesters. Every week when you go to the practical lab, start analyzing, start observing a certain instrument, go in depth into the parameters of the instrument. Okay. Now I'll take a simple example. How can you start studying an instrument, right? I'll take it as the slide goes, and why it is important for you to study the instrument. Now, this are the career transitions that I personally went through after my master's. So after my master's, there was a certain bit of uncertainty of which career path I should take. Should I follow an MPhil and research position? Should I get into an industry? Should I get into a contract research or contract manufacturing? Should I get into pharma sector, food sector? There was a lot of confusion. Finally, I took the industrial route, right? I started off as a quality control analyst in a pharma company. Then I moved on to a technician of molecular biology. The basically job was to extract DNA, extract RNA, run those gels, and generate some data out of that, do some basic cloning experiments. Slowly, as the career progressed, I got the opportunity to work on DNA sequencing as a core job. So my daily bread and butter became DNA sequencing. So preparing samples for DNA sequencing, receiving samples from customers, performing a QC, running the samples, getting the data, checking the quality, returning data back to the customers with comments and all that. So I become an experienced DNA sequencing guy. And that time in India, there were only 4 companies, or just 4 companies commercially providing sequencing. So if you have to sequence a plasmid or PCR product, you just have to approach one of these 4 companies and they will do it for you. And only a handful of academic lab had even access to sequencers on their own. They were pretty expensive instruments. So I thought my life was well set. Okay, I'm working on a cutting edge technology. I'm handling sequencing. I'm doing well. Okay, I thought it was done, and I could probably learn some more technologies and become an expert manager in a contract research organization. But so this went on from 2007 to 2011. Then 2011, something drastic happened. The NGS, the next generation sequencing, exploded. A new technology, a new dimension opened up in biosciences. So earlier with the sequencing technology, if we were sequencing just 500 base pairs or a plasmid, a cloned fragment of 1500 base pair into a fragment, or a 16S bacterial gene of 1500 base pairs, NGS enabled us to sequence entire human. The whole human genome could be sequenced in a matter of few days. A bacteria, 100 bacteria in one day. Okay, so the technology exploded and it unsettled my experience. So I have to literally adapt, relearn, and adapt to the new technology that was coming in, which is next generation sequencing, right? So I worked in NGS for a couple of years, and then I decided that, okay, I don't want to continue pipetting or doing wet lab job. Let me do something else also. Let me try to learn the project management for next generation sequencing. So I got the opportunity, the company gave me an opportunity to get into project management, where I was sitting with clients, discussing the project, bringing the project back to the table, to the office, and designing the project and the optimal way to execute the project. So that was a project management role within sequencing facility. So we used to sequence anything from bacteria to humans, from rodents to wheat, to any crop, to deep sea creatures. You imagine any organism, we will extract the nucleic acid, we will sequence it, and we will generate data, and we will have some scientific inputs. We sequence the turmeric, we sequence the tulsi. We have done quite interesting projects, right? And then I decided it's time for me to take the next step. So I requested for a position for field job. That is, instead of sitting in a lab or an office and doing this project management job, I wanted to take up a job where I'll be interacting with customers, solving their problems or addressing their problems, bringing back the problems to my office and solving it. So it started as a field application support job, again a technical job, right? That was pretty interesting. I got to meet many renowned scientists in Indian Institute of Science, in companies like Biocon, in companies like Tata's Research Center. You name the prominent institute, it gave me an opportunity to go and meet them in person and learn a lot from them. A thought came into my mind that I should start something of my own at some point in my life. I should start, be it a small laboratory or be it a small distribution agency which sells a certain instruments to scientists, right? I should do something on my own, or maybe I should start some of my own project management stuff. So then I realized with my current experience, I may not be able to really run a company efficiently as possible. So I took up a next step that I started taking interest in sales and application support. So here my job was 70% technical application support, supporting customers for their technical queries, 30% sales. So understanding the business, how the business of biotechnology or biology or biochemistry works. Because without business, there is no revenue. Without revenue, there is no jobs. So the revenue center is the business entity happening around you. Even in college, when somebody comes to the lab and meets the HOD or the lab in charge and tries to sell an instrument from a small spectrophotometer to a centrifuge to a large instrument like a multimode reader, they're trying to do business. And through business, they're generating revenue, and that revenue pays for the job. So with this understanding, I wanted to get better understanding of sales job. I took up a core sales job wherein my job was 70% sales and 30% app support. Okay. And then currently, last month, I started my own small business entity called C6 Labs. So why I told this story? Okay. if I draw this, if I convert this slide into a graphical representation, it's going to be quite haphazard. I started as a quality analyst. I become a molecular biology guy. I went into sequencing. I went into project. I went into genomics. It's all over the place. If you understand that, I didn't take a linear path. I tried many things before, concluding that, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my career, rest of my life. So what I mean to say here is, some people will, among you, after coming out of your master's or UG, will have a linear path. You may go for an MPhil, you may go for a research job, research scholar, and you may finish your PhD on time. Very good. Some people may enter the same phase but may not be able to finish the PhD within a certain time. There might be a certain lag. That is also fine. Some people might get into an industry and get promoted very fast to senior level. Excellent. Some people may be like me, tried out different things and then arrive at a conclusion. Whatever it is, as long as you're progressing, it's fine. So don't worry about how you're progressing. Just worry about progress. Continuous small improvements and take small baby steps at a time. You will gain enough experience to do what you enjoy at some point in your life. So just have to be patient. Don't worry about the path you take. Just keep progressing. So this is what I meant by this slide. And after passing MSc, generally, what do you think of jobs? When the word job or something comes, what do you think you will end up doing in lab? I thought I'll be maybe running some instruments, running some assays, taking some reports, signing reports, quality control, quality assurance. That was my plan. I was never really prepared to what I was going to face in my career as a molecular biology or sequencing person, right? I thought it was all about just taking DNA and sequencing it, right? But the kind of work I got is, see what I've listed. Immune boosting foods. Have you heard of this term? I'm sure you have seen some advertisements in TV which says, eat this particular supplement and your immunity is getting boosted. Drink this particular tea and your immunity is getting boosted. Or anything. Just eat this particular and then your immunity gets boosted, right? I'm sure everybody has heard this. Fairness in 21 days or 14 days, I'm not sure. So fairness in 21 days, there's a cream which claims that. And most of you might be familiar with probiotics, and you would have consumed yogurt, Yakult. Hope I'm right. Yogurt is very familiar. How many of you have heard prebiotic? So prebiotic is a polysaccharide like fructose oligosaccharide to be specific. It cannot be digested by humans. It just passes through. If you consume it, it just passes through our stool the next day. But the prebiotic has the ability to improve your gut microbiome flora, right? So there is a project on prebiotics. I'll explain what was a project. And then this particular advertisement you would have seen on TV where the mother is frying puri for the kid. The kid comes somersaulting, big puri lands, and then he eats the puri and then he goes somersaulting. The indication of the ad is that even a deep fried oily food like puri, if cooked in the oil particular company is trying to advertise, is good for your health. That's what they're trying to promote. Now, all these I listed, immune boosting, fairness, prebiotic, oil, are all claims. They're claiming something or the other about your health, about your fairness, about the skin being better moisturized, about your hair growing. These are all claims. So late in the 80s or in the early 90s, you could just claim whatever and just get away with it. Okay. Nobody's going to question you. But now with the current consumer law and consumer rules prevailing, you are supposed to back up those claims. Even if nobody asks, somebody might ask in the future, somebody might put a legal case on you, somebody might sue you as a company, and you may suffer losses. To prevent that, they have to back up the claim. One way of backing up the claim is using genomics. I never had a clue that this could be done, but I'll give you a simple example. How did we study the immune boosting effect of a certain nutrient? So the nutrient was seeded into cell culture. So first they gave the human cells were seeded with this nutrient, and the cells were given to us, and we extracted the RNA out of it. We looked at the gene expression using microarrays as an instrument. Okay, microarrays are instrument that enable us to study the gene expression pattern of any given organism. So we looked at primarily the NF-kappa B gene, which is very important for the transcription of cytokines and other immunomodulatory effects. And we looked at not only NF-kappa B, we looked at multiple genes. This is just to give an example. And when it was proven in cell culture level that yes, the genes like NF-kappa B, which are significant in immunoprotection, are in fact being affected by this immune boosting, positively affected by these immune boosting foods, they did a human trial. So what they did, they gave this nutrient to the human. We isolated blood. We took the PBMCs, peripheral mononuclear cells. We extracted RNA. We did the gene expression study using, again, microarray, right? Like that, for each of the points I listed here, which is immune boosting, which is fairness, prebiotics, oils, we have done similar study in human, mouse, or rabbit samples using genomics. Now, genomics, why I brought this point? Genomics, genetics, DNA, RNA is something what you study in college, definitely. But you study in as chapters, as semesters, and these are in isolation, right? You studied about structure of DNA in one place, and then you studied the synthesis of DNA in another place. What I want to highlight by this point is to be able to do these kind of projects, you are supposed to link what you learn. You learned in semester 1, you learn in semester 10, doesn't matter. You have to link. If they are interlinked, you are supposed to link them, overlap them, get a holistic idea so that you'll be able to do an end-to-end experiment. If you are a researcher or if you're working in an industry, you should be able to control an experiment to have positive outcomes for your customer. So the way you learn is important. Of course, these are mediated or enabled by sophisticated instruments, which I'll come to. But the basics are right there in your textbooks. The basics are right there in each class taught by faculties in college. The basics are right there in your practicals, what you learn. Just that they may or may not be linked. So the onus is on the student to link and learn in a holistic way, right? That's why I brought this example. I never expected that I'll be handling these kind of projects. I just when I learned in college, but then this is the reality, the real project that came my way. Of course, it was a teamwork, not that I alone performed. We had a team of people who used to do different tasks. They were a team of wet lab and bioinformatics background guys. We collaborated and we achieved these results. Then I also performed standard research support projects wherein the research scholar doing his PhD will be getting funds from the government. Okay. And they outsource certain part of the projects. Why they outsource? Not because they cannot do it with themselves, just because it's going to take as much time for them. So time versus money calculation is very important in an industrial scenario. Even when you're doing a PhD, there are certain things that is best outsourced. I'll give a simple example. For example, extraction of DNA or plasmids. Very simple protocol. It's a one-day protocol maximum. Imagine as a part of your research work or whatever, you have to do thousands of plasmid extraction and you have to sequence all those 1,000 plasmids, put the data into NCBI, blast, check, look for mutations, go back and again, progress your hypothesis, right? My opinion is it's not worth a researcher's time to do the manual job of extracting thousands of plasmids. Once you have figured out how to extract a plasmid, once you know the concept of plasmid extraction, what is the technology involved, how it is extracted, how it is optimal, what are the do's and don'ts. That's your knowledge, right? That's what you carry forward in your career. It's better to outsource because of factor of speed. When I talk about speed, in 2008, when I was part of a team that was doing this kind of work, we used to take outsourcing work. So today evening, we inoculate 200 plasmids. 200 cultures were inoculated today. Tomorrow, 200 mini prep. Entire plasmids will be loaded on gel, 200 gel loadings, 200 observations. Take the 200 samples, put them into 96 well plates each. So 2 into 96 well plates. Sequence all those 2 into 96 well plates. Look at the data, blast, deliver the data to customer, talk to the customer. So in 2.5, 3 days, we used to finish 200 samples. In a day, 200, 300 samples processing was a speed that the team used to work, right? A single person can do 100 or more plasmids because the hand speed comes into play. After you work for a year at that speed, your hand becomes as fast. You can extract 100 plasmids in a day, not an issue. So it's better to leave that kind of job. That's why people outsource. So in that, with that opportunity where the PhD scholars, with the money funded by the government or the principal investigator themselves, they were able to outsource certain metagenome projects. They went to deep sea, collected metagenome samples, gave me the samples to study the microbial profiling of the deep sea sediment, the transcriptome sequencing of various species, corn, maize, turmeric, tulsi, some parasites, some fishes, some crabs. So we used to get all sorts of samples, some stinky samples, some bad samples, some good samples. We used to do RNA transcriptome analysis. Human exome sequencing, only the coding part gets sequenced. Mitochondrial sequencing and typing of certain viruses strains. So these many projects came my way, and these many projects will come your way when you enter your research or industrial life. So how you can prepare right now for that? By reading what is there in your syllabus, by reading what is not there in your syllabus, by interlinking what you learned in first semester to what you learned in the final semester, and so on, and engaging actively with your faculties, professors, and improving understanding, right? Now, I told this is coming to the main topic, instruments in life science. So we all are using some instruments or the other, like spectrophotometer, centrifuge, microscope, a PCR machine, different instruments, ELISA readers. So instruments are key in life science. So it is very important you start liking them, you start loving instruments right away. Next time you go to a lab, any lab, college lab or where you're doing an internship, it's better you start loving them right now. Okay. And how do you start loving an instrument? You have to talk to an instrument. How do you talk to an instrument? I'll give a simple example. I'm sure there is a centrifuge in the lab. I don't know what make it is. Okay. The task for everyone present here is go and see what is the make. There will be a label on it. It will be manufactured by somebody. Understand where it is manufactured. Okay. You can Google it. If not available, I'm sure Hari sir or somebody will be able to tell you where this particular thing is manufactured. Then you have to understand what type of motor it has. What is the power rating of that instrument? Okay. And how many is the rotor interchangeable? What is the higher version of this fuse available in the market? And what is the cost of the fuse? Literally, you're understanding every aspect of a centrifuge. Similarly, how do you talk and start loving a spectrophotometer? You understand what is the make of the instrument. You understand what is the cuvette used. Is this the only cuvette you can use, or you can use any other cuvette model? What is the path length? What is the excitation source? What is the wavelength possible? Can it read a plate? Can it do certain assays? Is there a USB where you can take data and put it to a computer and do some further analysis? Can you export the data to Excel to create some beautiful plots and graphs? Start interacting with the instrument present in your lab in a holistic way. Now, as I said, only a single paper or a few papers per semester might demand you to look at instruments. But then you do it one semester, you forget it. It's not possible. Across your study, right from UG first year to the time you graduate and become your PG, start learning instruments. Spend at least 1 month, one instrument. You can keep a criteria. Deep dive. No, I came from an era where if I had to download a PDF, I had to click, go for lunch and come back, still it will not be downloaded. Internet speed was that much. Right now, you can download everything in your phone. You have 3D visualizations, you have YouTube channels looking at teaching you about instruments. Learn it in a holistic way. Learn it as a hobby, not as a learning. So if you're at the end of the day, after learning your entire syllabus, preparing for exams, if you're tired, instead of watching some you can watch some funny videos, but in between watch some instrumentation related videos, how instrument works, what is the operating principle, right? And they're very critical. Why? Because I'm again coming back. One is it is enabling us to do our jobs. Excellent. That's one more thing. And other thing is these instruments run the market, and by market is where the business is generating. Business generates revenue. Revenue generates jobs. So this understanding your instrument gives you a better edge when you go to interviews. It gives you a better edge when you start working in a laboratory. So if there are 5 people and you are the person who is well understanding a spectrophotometer, the principal investigator, the guide, or the lab manager will entrust you with that instrument. And once you're entrusted with the maintenance of the instrument, you're given an additional responsibility, right? And then when the service engineer comes to repair the instrument, you can look at how he is servicing the instrument. What are the calibrations required? So you are learning something beyond what your syllabus demands. You're learning something on your own, and learn that as a hobby. That's what I would say. Now, the pictures I have shown here is for representation. If I value these instruments, each of them, or if I take the sum total of the value of all the instruments, easily it's worth more than 2 crores. So it's a costly, sophisticated, sensitive instruments, and they can provide, and learning these instruments in deep can provide you with better job opportunities when you pass out of college, right? So now is a time to think, start doing lateral thinking, because the moment you enter your post-graduation and later your research life, your focus will be on a certain aspect of your PhD work. So now during your college life, your graduation, your post-graduation is the best time to start lateral thinking and learning stuff out of the syllabus on your own. Nobody will come and teach you. Nobody will come and say, learn this instrument. Okay, it's your interest, your learning about more about instruments. Now, how do we go about learning as an instrument? So one thing I told you, start talking to instruments, start asking questions to the instrument. Okay, it's not the instrument is going to talk back. You will ask those questions yourself. You will find those answers yourself, and you will be knowing more about the instruments. Now, where to start? How if you randomly select instruments, then you'll go crazy. There'll be a lot of instruments to learn. The best way to learn and understand an instrument is going back to the basics. The basic thread or basic technology that has enabled scientists to make these instruments and enabled scientists to utilize the instrument is very simple, right? Now, in this picture, in this particular slide, what I'm sharing with you, there are three instruments. One is a real-time PCR, which is very famous now for corona testing. It is being used. This is a circulating tumor cell isolating device at the bottom. So it can extract circulating tumor cells from a blood. You don't need an invasive procedure anymore. You just take the patient's blood sample and use this instrument to extract circulating tumor cells. And here I've kept a stereo microscope with some fluorescent ability. What is common between all these three instruments? There are three different instruments. One is a real-time, one is a circulating tumor cell, one is a microscope. There is something common. And you can start learning from that common point. What is the common point? Linking these instruments. Fluorescence. How many of you have explored fluorescence as a concept? If not, if you've explored, great. You have made a good choice. If not, start learning from fluorescence. Okay. Then you learn fluorescence. Then you learn FRET, fluorescence energy transfer. Then you learn about CyberGreen and TACMAN probes. Then you learn about fluorescent imaging in microscopy. Then you learn about fluorescent antibody tagging. Then you learn about calcium channel imaging. So all these, you learn about DNA sequencing. All these are technology that run using or exploiting the fluorescence as a principle. So there are different methods. They use laser, they use LEDs, they use different detection systems, prism. That comes later. A starting point for a student is to learn just fluorescence. There are unlimited resource material in Google and YouTube. Start from fluorescence and then apply that what you learn to an instrument, be it a microscope, be it a sequencer, be it a real-time PCR. You will find that your understanding of how an instrument works and how an assay works, how a COVID testing assay works, how the people are testing for disease like HIV, HCV, HBV, all those pathogens, how the breast cancer gene BCR-ABL is being studied, or how a fluorescent in situ hybridization probe, a FISH probe, detects abnormalities like cancer or a Down syndrome or a prenatal analysis. So all these are based on fluorescence. And imagine if you are a master of fluorescence, how good it will be for your career, no matter whether you're in a technician laboratory or a research laboratory or a company. Even if you not want to vet lab, because somebody says, I don't want to work in a lab, I want to do sales and marketing. Still, you need to know the instruments well, the technology well, so that you'll be able to convince a customer. Otherwise, you'll end up only confusing a customer. Don't confuse. Always try to convince in a technical way. You're all budding scientists. So adapt technology. We biologists should be so much into technology that we should be even literally able to do minor service and repair to the instrument. But don't go back to the SNGC lab and start repairing. Hari sir will catch you. Sorry, I'm telling. Learn instruments in a holistic way. Right? Now, I had told you my career path was this. I ended up doing projects like this, right? What you see here. I started operating certain instruments. But never in my life I thought, after doing biochemistry, biotechnology, that I will end up doing microscopy in a big way. But even that happened. In 2016, I was given a responsibility to take up application support and installation of microscopes in customer locations. So for that, what I needed to understand microscopes. So don't restrict yourself thinking, okay, I'm learning biochemistry. You should learn about fluorescence, as I told you. And I want you to consider as a hobby. I'm all talking about out of syllabus stuff. Okay, learn as a hobby, and learn imaging, consider imaging as a career option. So why should you consider imaging as a career option? It's a large market. There's a lot of job opportunities there. So understanding imaging or fluorescence, as I told earlier, improves your quotient that you improves your employability quotient, improves the chance of clearing an interview or a written exam, right? So it's a large market available at this point. And there are key players present. Every segment, including hospitals, diagnostics, blood banks, forensics, industry, pharmaceutical, everybody uses microscopy and imaging. Sitting right here, looking at how to start lateral thinking, learning out of the syllabus to help yourself learn as a hobby. Keep it interesting to yourself. And I was telling about learning fluorescence as a concept, what fluorescence does, what is the importance of fluorescence in the instruments that rule biosciences, be it sequencer, be it isolating circulating tumor cells, be it fluorescent imaging. And I personally never studying the human gut microbiome and their impact on disease, on human health. So these are some keywords I want you to learn as a hobby. This may not be a part of your syllabus right now, but I'm sure some more part of it will be a part of your syllabus, right? So I want you to take up this and read on your own and learn, so that your employability quotient is increased. You're able to clear interviews much faster, even after getting into a research position in a university or a job position in a university. Every year, your growth will be much better. This is a DNA sequencer. Again, depends on fluorescence. So how important is fluorescence? Just see that. It applies the principle of electrokinetic injection. I don't want to go into depth for the interest of time. Cycle sequencing reaction, familiar Sanger technology. Okay, this incorporates fluorescent label tags which are being detected by the instrument, like this, a laser. It excites the fluorescent tags, it throws the signal, and you get data, and you get the ATGC sequence of the genome. Be it a bacteria or a human, the principle is the same. Nothing has changed. Major applications of the technology: you can sequence the DNA, you can identify bacteria, you can identify SNPs, mutations, you can identify humans, you can identify, you can genotype a crop. You can do prenatal analysis, genetic testing, which is being extensively recommended by doctors in current scenario for pregnant women. POC screening, which is product of conception, that is looking at aborted fetuses to understand the reason of abortion. Genetic diagnosis, cystic fibrosis, thrombophilia, thalassemia, all that. It can be detected and screened using this sequencing technology. So, and again, the basic of sequencing technology is nothing but fluorescence, lasers, detection, bioinformatics. So if your basic is strong, you'll be able to master the instrument and progress in your career, right? This is my last slide, right? So all these instruments present here are sequencers of different companies. One is an Illumina, one is a Ion S5, other is a PacBio. So this guy sitting on the bottom right corner, if my mouse pointer is visible, is as big, as tall as you. It's a big instrument. It's a 6 crore instrument, okay? But the one sitting right next to it, the small one, for perspective purpose, I put a laptop. It's as small. It's as small as your pipette. That's also a sequencer. Different instruments, different capabilities, similar basic principle. So right now, I want to say is that in future, you'll be encountering such instruments, and these instruments keep growing, and technology is advancing at a great pace. You have to keep up with the technology. So I request you to holistically start talking to instrument, loving your instrument. Let the instrument be your second girlfriend, if you already have a girlfriend, or your second best friend. Let the instrument be your friend. Ask questions, get the answers, improve yourself in your career, improve your employability quotient, and come up with flying colors. Have the edge for competition. So thank you. That's my last slide. I want to stop this presentation by saying, adversities may pierce like an arrow into a castle of well-built dreams, but be unshakable to all these. How? By having a strong foundation. And the owners to create, teachers and faculties and professors and mentors will help you to create that foundation, or they may guide you, but the owners, the responsibility of having a strong foundation lies with the student. So learn something, go the extra mile to learn something beyond your regular syllabus and get yourself that winning edge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vineet. Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask now. unmute your mic and raise the questions.
Hello, can you hear?
Yes.
Sir, you showed about a sequencer which can be connected to a laptop.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the cost of it and how it works and how much, how many times we can use it? Any idea about it?
Yeah, the instrument is called the Oxford Nanopore, which is the smallest and the most affordable sequencer available in the world, right? And to put it into perspective, most sequencers are 40 lakhs and above currently, and ranging from 40, 50 lakhs to 6 crores. This one, what I showed, has got different components. So the component, the major component or the shell of the instrument, or what you saw, the basic instrument, is around 70 to 80,000 rupees. Okay, right?
Okay.
But now there is a catch. For everything there is a catch. So 70, 80,000 rupees is the cost of the thing which is connected to the laptop. Now you need to, for you to be able to sequence, you need some accessory instruments, right? You cannot directly sequence a cell. We are not there yet. We have to extract DNA, do some quality steps, ligate some adapters to it, and carry out the sequencing. Now for that you need some accessory instruments, some measuring instruments like a fluorometer. You need some certain centrifuges. If you are trying to do a bacterial DNA, for example, you need to shear it. You need sonicate it. You need a sonicator, and then this can sequence around, say, 10 to 14 bacteria at a time. So bacteria genome, a few MB bacteria, but when it gets sequenced in a NGS instrument like this, next generation sequence instrument like this, throws out quite a bit of data. So you need a software support to analyze the data, right? So combining all these, your cost will be around anywhere between 7 to 9 lakhs.
Okay, sir. So we have to purchase the software also.
You don't have to purchase the software, because if you know the Linux command, if you ever operated a Linux based system, not the Windows system where you can do your own data, you don't need to purchase. You just need to buy a blank laptop, install Ubuntu, and do the bioinformatics yourself. But if you are a biologist who doesn't know anything about bioinformatics, you have to buy the software. Okay. Still it is the cheapest, because imagine 60 lakhs, others under 9 lakhs this. So it's still the cheapest. Yeah. And if I have to tell the limitations, right now it can only sequence certain genes of certain KB. It can sequence bacteria, virus, and microorganisms, whereas the larger ones can sequence human genomes. This cannot sequence human genome yet.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
So any more clarifications?
But I think Shivapriya asked that question. So there are people who analyze your sample on that platform for a certain fee. You can outsource it. They run it for you and give back the data. So
yes, sir. We were trying actually to outsource. So they were charging 1 lakh, nearly 1 lakh for a seq.
For bacteria?
No, sir. Human genome. It was from human cell. Actually,
so human cell, the challenge is human cell, you need to at least do coverage of 30x. I don't know what coverage they mentioned. Maybe low pass would be 20x. Still our, what is the genome size? 3 GB human genome, right?
Yes, sir. 3 GB.
Yeah, so 3 GB into 30 is 90 GB data. So 90 GB data sequenced and analysis is it's called the real estate space in terms of sequencing. Like your land cost is real estate, right? If you construct a house on a 5 cent, 10 cent, 1 acre, the cost is different. So a bacterial genome is probably a small 5 cent house, whereas human genome is an acre in terms of, if you want to draw analogy between the real estate market and sequencing market, human genome is large. So hence the cost. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, Vineet, I have a query.
Yes, sir.
Regarding this phylogenetic study.
Okay.
Is there any softwares available for doing phylogenetic analysis, and how to collect the sample for that? Just tell me how to do that, the procedure involved in that.
Okay, so phylogenetic analysis of what type of
Human phylogenetic analysis.
human? Okay, so softwares again. Most of the open source softwares are available only in the Linux environment, like the Ubuntu environment, whereas the most of the ones in the window where you have like what we call as a graphical user interface are mostly paid softwares. Okay, these are from different commercial service providers. So if you want to explore it in a all these come under licensing also, no sir. So if you want to put it for a academic research purpose, strongly recommended that we start learning the Ubuntu Linux based system, wherein you can install the Ubuntu's latest version, which is absolutely free, and then you can start installing the softwares, which I'll need to check what are the softwares which are currently trending as per publication. So it's always better to go for softwares that trend globally for publication, so that when you publish data, the chance of publication is really high. And I'll share with you the list of softwares for this purpose, sir. So I'll share over an email. I don't have the list right now, but on a long-term purpose, it is definitely great to consider Ubuntu-based environment using bioinformatics tools to solve your research queries. Because the other software will, year on year, they will charge you, and you have to pay for a license, which might be a bit expensive at this point.
So, do you have such kind of softwares in your company?
The licensed version, yes, sir. I do have, but my software is mostly focused on NGS, sequencing data analysis for transcriptome, for genome, for metagenome, those kind of. It's called Commander. So you have to install it in your Windows system, and it helps you to run the analysis of your choice. There are modules. If you are a primarily scientist working on microbes and metagenome and other things, it will give you a metagenomic module. If you are a scientist working on phylogenetic analysis, there will be a module for that, and they charge for the module. So it's not my thing. It's a software developed by the company where I used to work before.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I can share some details, sir. Yes. Okay.
So I have one more question.
Okay.
Sir, to know about the basics of NGS and bioinformatics and the softwares, so where can we learn it from? From Illumina or any other websites?
Yes, Illumina website itself is a huge resource on NGS and other things. And each company's website, probably Illumina, Thermo's website is another place. Thermo Fisher Scientific website has got its own resource. They may ask you to register. You can register, and you'll have access to n number of webinars and seminars on that. The other ways, there are some, I can alert Narayan Swamy sir.
Yes, conducting some NGS workshop or something, do share with us.
Sure. Whenever there were programs, but right now due to the corona, we are, locked out. So whenever any program comes up, I'll definitely share with the department, and sir can share it with you.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
யார் மெயில் அனுப்பும்? அது இப்போ போயிட்டு இருக்கு, வெபினார் போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vineet. Then the session was very informative, and it was a very good presentation. So on behalf of Sri Narayana Guru College management, on behalf of our principal Dr. M. Ilangovan, on behalf of the Department of Biochemistry, I thank Mr. Vineet for accepting our invitation and delivering a webinar today. So thank you, Vineet, once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Then
bye, everybody.
I would like to thank all the participants for eagerly attending the webinar. So the next day also, that is today is the day 4, and we have still more 3 webinars are there, the forthcoming days. So I request all the participants to again join in the remaining sessions. So thank you very much. Thank you all once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we can end the meeting now.